Hello everyone and welcome back to Carvenus 14. Now today we're going to be doing another new type of video, except today we're going to be talking about the Electro element. Now I'm starting a new series on Genshin Impact called, well, I don't know what it's going to be called yet, but you will know because you'll be seeing it on the playlist and probably the video title. But yeah, so basically in this series I'm going to be talking about, the future of Genshin Impact, like things like what's going to change in the game, maybe future regions, and maybe some future characters as well, if I'm interested in them or not. Yeah, just like new gameplay mechanics that may be coming out. Basically just stuff to do with the future of Genshin Impact. So, yeah. Now, in our first video of this series, we're going to be talking about the Electro element. Now, the Electro element, as you all know, has been feeling a bit lackluster. What is it? In the past few, well, patches, just because of the reaction. Crystallize. Alright, there we go. Yeah, so basically, a lot of people in the community are actually complaining that the Electro element is not really, performing up to scratch. And it's not to say that the Electro element itself is horrendous, it's just to say that the Electro element reactions are just a little bit, not good enough, basically. They were really decent at the beginning of the game, but now, just because of the amount of characters coming out, yeah, they're not really. So we'll get into the video, basically. I think that Electro is going to get a rework, and I'll tell you guys why. So basically, first reason, the community has been complaining that, Electro does need a rework. Now, in terms of why it needs a rework, we need to look at the Electro reactions first. So we've got Overload, Electrocute, Superconduct, Swirl, and Crystallize. Now these are the 5 different types of reactions for all elements. Yeah, in the game. So Overload is when Pyro and Electro meet. So it causes a big AoE Pyro explosion that scatters enemies everywhere. Now this reaction does a decent amount of damage, but the only problem is this bit. Scatters enemies everywhere. So usually in a fighting game, you want to try and group enemies together so you can take them down much faster, rather than split them apart and make things harder for yourself. Of course, unless it's really hard. So because of that, because this this reaction basically scatters enemies pretty much everywhere, it's really hard to group them up and then, dish a lot of damage to all of them at the same time, which makes, taking care of them much harder and much longer to actually, well, kill the enemies. So that's why a lot of people don't like the Overload reaction, just because it takes much longer to actually kill enemies, just because of the inconsistent patterns, and when, the inconsistent patterns of it just flying, of the enemies just flying everywhere. Now, Electrocute is when Hydro and Electro meet. Now, this does Electro damage over time. Now, the damage over time it's always welcome. The damage over time by Electro is actually really good. The only problem is that it lies within the fact that Electrocute isn't actually consistent all of the time. Like, sometimes it activates, other times it doesn't, as well as it doesn't last long enough. When I say that, I mean, the Electrocute reaction, it does require it requires a constant supply of Hydro and Electro. Of course, all reactions do, except Electrocute needs the most amount. So basically, it doesn't last as long. In fact, it's one of the shortest lasting reactions in the game. Yeah, whereas some of the other reactions do stay for quite a while. Now, Electrocute, if you're not giving it a constant supply of Hydro or Electro, you lose that Electro damage over time, and obviously that's not good. So you want to try and, use characters that basically allow you to, to proc Hydro really well. Someone like Mona or Jingxi or, Barbara, and an Electro character that can apply Electro really well, like maybe Beidou in her ultimate form, or Keqing. So, yeah. This is, again, very, to be fair, official as well. So this is very, it's not, long lasting. Like it constantly needs a supply of elements. So that's the main problem with it, and the lack of consistency. Now, Superconduct is honestly the best reaction in the game, pretty much. Except the problem was, do you really need Superconduct right now? Like, you know, like, do you actually need Superconduct? Because there's a lot of characters that have actually come out that do actually provide much better things than Superconduct. Like a lot of characters, like Razor and Lisa, who are both 4-star characters. Lisa, you guys should have, but Lisa actually decreases defense by 15%, I believe, and Razor also, you know, decreases defense as well. Now, in terms of physical resistance, you've got characters like Xinyan, who actually increases your physical resistance when you have her shield on. You've also got characters like Zhongli, who decreases enemies' physical resistance, so you do extra damage to them. Of course, not everyone has Zhongli. And then there's also Mona, who also increases the amount of damage you do when her ultimate is applied. Now, obviously, not everyone has Mona. So, yeah. But another obtainable character that a lot of people have is Xiangling and Diona. Now, Xiangling, everyone has a free copy of her. So, Xiangling has a passive where when Goba leaves the field, he drops a chili on the ground, and that chili basically gives you an additional 10% attack. So there's that, and then there's also Diona, who has a passive where basically when an enemy enters her, you know, her healing field, her ultimate field, basically, their attack is actually decreased by 15%. So there's a lot of 4-stars and 5-star characters that some of you guys probably will have that, you know, actually increase your overall team's damage. And it's honestly to the point that unless you don't have any of these characters I mentioned or their constellations, you don't really need Superconduct. And the cherry on top is that with the Geo buff in patch 1.3, the major thing is it increases your damage dealt by 15%. Now the problem is you need to have a shield on to have this passive, but there's loads of shielding characters in the game. There's Noelle, who's a free character, Xinyan, who's a 4-star, Diona, who again is a 4-star, Ning Guang, who is a 4-star, and then Zhongli, who's a 5-star if you were lucky enough to get him. But everyone should at least have Noelle. Now, because of that, you can run 2 Geo characters if you want, and get the Geo Resonance buff. But obviously, if you're going for something else, like a double Pyro Resonance, which increases your, you know, your total, you know, damage, your attack damage by 25%, right? So these 2 buffs stacked on top of each other are really good. In fact, my team composition is a Geo Resonance and Pyro Resonance just because it provides such good damage. And I honestly don't even need Superconduct anymore. You really don't need Superconduct if you're running double Geo, double Pyro. But obviously everyone has their preferences, so if you want to go for Superconduct, you can. It's not a horrendous reaction, it's just not needed as much as it was before. Now, obviously, you got another reaction like Swirl, which with Anemo and Electro increases your Electro damage, and Crystallize with Geo and Electro, which creates a shield that protects against Geo attacks. Now, yeah, so that's reason number 2, basically. Basically that the Electro reactions just feel a bit lackluster now, especially with new content coming out to the game and new characters with new special skill kits, unique skill kits as well. But the third reason is that the Dendro element is going to be coming to the game. Now, it's obviously going to be coming to the game because it's pretty much everywhere. On the loading screen, it's also pretty much in... it's on the character selection menu as well. So yeah, it's going to be in the game, and there's even enemies like the Dendro Slimes and the Dendro Samachels that are already in the game, and there's supposed to be a new Dendro Abyss Mage coming out to the game as well, but of course, that's just a speculation. I can't really say much about that, but the Dendro element is apparently going to be coming in patch 1.5, which is supposed to be when the Chasm update drops. Now, obviously, as of right now, I don't have a lot of information about the Chasm, but maybe when I get more and more information on the Chasm, I'll definitely add it on my list of videos to do. So, yeah. Now, the Dendro element is going to have some very, obviously it's going to have very cool reactions and mechanics being a new element and all. So, because of that, the Electro reaction might get, like the Electro element might actually get like much better with the Dendro element, but as like if it's going to apply to all of the other elements, probably not. They may make it just like a really overpowered reaction for the Dendro one, but either way, we've got the community complaints as one reason. The Electro reaction's not really feeling up to scratch, and we've also got the Dendro element addition. So that's three reasons right there. Now, there is also a fourth reason, but I also want to talk about when it's going to be coming out. Now, if this is true. Now, the when, I feel, is supposed to be in Inazuma. Now, as you all know, Inazuma is the Electro region. So, Inazuma is going to be the Electro region ruled by the Electro Archon, who is Raiden. Now, obviously, looking at previous events and previous banners, we got the Anemo Archon, Venti, who's playable. We've also got the Geo Archon, Zhongli, who's playable. So, like, as you can see, there may be a pattern forming here where maybe the future Archons are also going to become playable. It's not confirmed, but let's not get our hopes down because I do want the Electro Archon to be playable. So, yeah. If the Electro Archon does come out, they can't really make the Electro Archon a bad character per se because of her elemental reactions. Like, she may be a really top tier, like, Electro DPS, Electro support, but if the Electro reactions aren't that good, then there's really no point running her as like a support character, am I right? So, yeah. Now, if she is going to be a DPS, like Zhao, Hu Tao, Diluc, Tartaglia, she has to be better than the recent two rate-up banners characters, Hu Tao and Zhao, because Hu Tao and Zhao are the best, if not probably the best, DPS characters in the game right now. Like, I'm saying they're so good that if you put them on your team, you're going to pretty much make every content DPS-wise easy. So, because of that, MiHoYo have basically put themselves in this position where if they release a character whose character design, whose character personality, playstyle, skill kit, stuff like that, basically. If they're not as good as Hu Tao or Zhao, they're going to lose money because not a lot of people are going to roll on their banner. And number two, they're obviously going to get hated on because of, people having to roll for bad or worse characters and not having the chance to get the better characters before. So, because of that, they kind of need to make Raiden better, like, they kind of need to make Raiden either better in the physical department, like make her broken, or give her better reactions, which I think is what MiHoYo would do. So even if Raiden Shogun is going to be a support, or if she's going to be a DPS, either way, the reactions is what's going to make her a decent, support character, inevitably. Her DPS not so much, but even for every single character, their reactions are what, makes them a support character, obviously. So all supports need to kind of provide something good skill set wise or, reaction wise. So because Electro is one of the, well, it was one of the best elements in the game when the game came out, but now because of characters coming out with much better skill sets and things, you don't really need the Electro element anymore. So because of that, I think MiHoYo are going to try and make Electro better when they release Raiden, because if you didn't know, think about this, right? There hasn't actually been a new 5-star Electro character being brought to the game. If you look at all of the previous banners, we got Venti first, Klee, Child, Zhongli, Albedo, Ganyu, Zhao, Keqing, and Hu Tao. And then we're going to get a Venti rerun and a Child rerun in patch 1.4. So out of all 13 of those banners that are going to be coming out, and are already out, Keqing is the only 5-star Electro character that's been on there, but technically she doesn't count because she was in the game from the very beginning. So technically, there hasn't actually been a new Electro 5-star character out. And excuse me, And I think that's why the Electro element hasn't actually been reworked yet, because they never really had the need to. They never really released a new 5-star or 4-star Electro character. So because of that, I don't really think it crossed their minds that, oh, Electro needs to be, redeveloped, remade, basically. So yeah, those are like basically the reasons. So community complaining, the Electro reactions feeling lackluster, and the addition of the Dendra element could definitely spice things up. And because Raiden Shogun will probably be like one of the earliest Electro 5-star characters, or new Electro characters coming to the game soon, they're gonna have to kind of they're gonna have to think about reworking Electro, because these 4 reasons are actually very, very good reasons as to why MiHoYo should probably look into getting the Electro element reworked. Now, that's basically the video. I mean, other than that, those are my 4 main reasons as to why Electro is going to get reworked, and when we could possibly see that rework coming in. So yeah, guys, that's basically been the video. Put down in the comment section below whether you agree with me or not, and if you have any any statements that you wish to make about the Electro element, then please do put them in the comment section below. Yeah, I have been Carvenus14 and still am, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you soon. Goodbye.